So I'm going to demonstrate on how to shuck oysters. So the tool you're going to need for shucking oysters is your oyster knife. So your oyster knife, it doesn't really look like much of a knife at all. It almost like something you can for opening cans. It's not really sharp. The edge kind of has a point to it. You have another one that's kind of similar to this, but it looks like a little paring knife. That's a clam knife. You don't want to use the clam knife. It's done a totally different way. So you need your oyster knife, and then you're going to need some sort of towel to hold the oysters. You can do like multiple layers of paper towels, or if you have an old a towel you don't mind getting kind of a little gross that you're going to need to wash, is fine as well. Okay. Before we start shucking, we want to prepare our pan though, because we're going to roast these. So you should all have a square pan, which was provided to you. You should also have a container of salt. The big container of salt is not what you use for seasoning. It actually is going into the pan. Put it all into the pan, and then you're going to shake it out so it covers the entire space. What this does, this actually creates a base for our oysters to sit in. So when they are sitting in here, they're not weeble wobbling. They're staying nice and flat. Plus, when these go into the oven, it's going to help retain the heat. When you use this for them to go in the oven, I would recommend a sheet pan or something underneath, because you know it's not as sturdy. So something stronger to put those together would actually work out really, really nicely. Right? So now I'm going to put that off to the side to show you how to shuck an oyster. So you're going to take your oyster, and you want to scrub these down, get them rinsed off, get any of the extra crud that might be on them. And you want to determine, okay, which is your rounder side, which is your flatter side. To me, this is my flatter side. This is my rounder side. So the round side is going to go down, and I'm going to do the wide end towards my left, your right in this. Because what I'm going to do is I'm going to work at this place right here. So this is the hinge where it actually would open and close, and that's where I do my work from. So what I do is I put my oyster towards my right hand side where I'm using my oyster knife, and with the hinge towards my right. I use the paper towel or the towel to hold it in place, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take and I'm going to put that oyster knife into the hinge. I'm going to press and twist. So I'm going to work it through until I can actually pop open the oyster, and it takes some muscle, but I was able to open it up. I clean off from here. Once I've got the initial pop, then I take and work my knife around to separate it the rest of the way. Use my knife to clean it up. So this goes into the garbage. What you do want to do with this though too is make sure that the oyster is separated. It just makes it easier to eat. So it should set right on the shell itself. And then what I'm going to do is then take and place this, sit it in the salt that help keep it from wobbling about. Okay, I'll do another one for you here. Get my oyster. There's the flat side. It's a little more obvious. This is the rounded side. Hinge towards my right hand. Bring it in. Take the edge of the oyster knife and the paper towels to help keep it in place, but also acts as a little bit of a buffer. If you happen to slip, it goes into the paper towel or the towel. That's why towels are kind of nice too, because it has a little bit more oomph, and I popped that one pretty easily. Those that do this professionally and do this a lot, they actually a lot of times wear like chainmail gloves or some sort of cut-resistant glove on their left hand if they're right-handed. Then they don't have to worry about getting well, the cut is more minimalized. If you notice also they had some little pieces of shell that had broken, so I just made sure I pulled those out as well. So you're going to do that with all 6 of your oysters, and your oysters are going to go in, sit in. You should be able to get the 6 of them in there pretty well, and that's what you'll then use as a base, and then you'll put your topping on and goes into the oven for your oysters Rockefeller.